Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are joined today by very special guests, Jill and Oliver from Sundae Bar. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to hop on and have a conversation today. Very excited to hear more about what you're doing in the world of AI agents on Bittensor TAO. And I think anyone watching or listening is going to be curious to hear more as well. So, Jill, maybe by way of introduction, you could give us just a brief background on your own story. And
Yeah.
I'm always curious to hear how people got deep into Tao because I think there's a little bit of a unique path for everyone. So I'd love to hear what your journey was, and then ultimately how that all unfolded, and then we can understand how the relationship with Oliver developed as well.
Awesome. Yes, great to be here. So yeah, everyone does have a unique journey into BitTensor, I am sure. Mine, going a little bit farther back, started, I was at Red Bull, led their media and content team there. We were deep into gaming. Obviously, action sports is what Red Bull is known for.
Mhm.
F1, people doing backflips out of helicopters, etc. But there was two individuals on the west coast of Canada who had started, funded, founded, sat on boards of gaming and tech companies predominantly, and crypto companies actually. One of them was the individual that brought Argo blockchain to the UK, the
Mhm.
first blockchain listing. So they wanted to do something in gaming and something with women. So found me, asked me to come over and lead a company called Padia Gaming. And we created tech tools, bots for Discord, for people playing in esports, tournaments, etc.
Mhm.
And my co-founder, he has a bunch of companies. He mainly listed in the UK, and he saw the opportunity with AI agents, wanted to merge two companies and build an AI agent marketplace. So Padia Gaming was doing quite well. I had an opportunity to shift out of my position there as CEO, move to a board position, and then work together with him on launching the AI agent marketplace, which today is Sundae Bar.
Mhm.
And while we were merging these two companies late last year, hadn't listed yet on the stock exchange, through Barry Silbert, heard through his comms, etc., heard about Bittensor, and both of us are like, this is very interesting. Number one, we have a very, well, obviously AI forward board team, but also a
Mhm.
very bullish crypto team. So at this time, I feel like Bittensor was more focused in the AI space. So it was like, what is this? Like, let's dive in, let's learn more. Both of us started to consume more information, really loved the decentralization aspect of it, especially when you're a startup, and we didn't know a ton at the time, but what we knew, there was a very strong incentivization layer backed by Tao to have access to some of the best devs in the world to build your product. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like, oh, this is like a no-brainer for us.
Mhm.
We couldn't really touch it until we listed on June 3rd, and we bought the subnet right after. And since then, we've been definitely learning. I think everyone's BitTensor journey too is a learning journey. So that's how we stumbled across it and got into it. I would say we really started going full steam on it in September.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll get into where we are today. But on the team, I have Ollie here. And I think the interesting thing about Sundae Bar, and you can even hear from my journey, that myself and who co-founded Padia with me, who now sits on the board of Sundae Bar, we have this big network of tech,
Mhm.
crypto, board experienced people. And Ollie here and all of the team on Sundae Bar, we've all kind of worked on or touched different projects together. I have a marketing background, so some of them I'll be an advisor for marketing. Ollie will jump in on the tech side. Leo Mercier, who I think a lot of the Bittensor community knows from other subnets, he's an advisor on us. So you really get
Mhm.
this like big team coming in with experience in different verticals, but it's fun to all work together because we've all worked on many different projects.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. Ollie, I'd love to get a quick background or introduction from you as well. We were talking beforehand, and I think your area of expertise is more in
Agents.
AI and agents specifically. So,
Yes.
I mean, that's a perfect fit. So, yeah, what's your background?
Yeah. So actually, I've always worked in technology. I've been going for about 20 years now, and I started off a little bit like you as a technology consultant, primarily in the insurance and banking industry. So I started on the business side of things. I then went into development, and since then I have worked in digital agencies. I've worked in media. I worked for the Mirror Group. I've worked for various SaaS companies in the education sector and things like that. I even started my own startup, which was very much in data transformation and moving data between different platforms, which is fundamentally one of the main things that we actually will be doing with all these agents and things like that. I think my first foray into AI was I worked for a vehicle telematics company that was backed by Toyota, coming into COVID, and then COVID made that disappear. Then I worked for a company called Visi, which was a old school AI company. So this was prior to the OpenAI revolution, where we had teams of data scientists doing essentially product recommendation stuff, very e-commerce focused, but a lot of merchandising, tagging, things like that, lots of different things. Whilst I was there, all this kind of LLM stuff exploded, and then we started shifting into using more of those tools. But primarily old school AI, because that company founded in 2012, I believe. And then maybe a year and a half ago, I moved to Cycle, which is essentially started off life as an AI workflow directory, I suppose, is how it started, which kind of shifted into focusing on specific AI agents in sales and research and recruitment, which are the main focuses. But the first iteration, we had workflows doing all sorts of different tasks that would integrate lots of different third-party SaaS companies and Slacks and HubSpots and all that kind of stuff. So all very relevant to everything that we're doing now. So yeah, built that up. We've launched all those products. I work in the same office as Leo, who is, I can't remember the number of the subnet, but and obviously he introduced me to Jill and some of the other guys. So it just seemed like a good fit to come over and start working for these guys. So I joined in November to essentially help project this launch of this latest version of getting this generalist agent up and running to where it is now.
Amazing. So a really nice fit. Ollie, you mentioned that OpenAI revolution a moment ago, and I think if I'm looking back 2 or 3 years, it's amazing to see the progress that's happened in the world of AI. But Jill, I'm curious to know what was the aha moment, because I can't imagine not using some kind of AI tool in my daily workflow at the moment. Was there an aha moment around you seeing the success of all these LLMs, and then at the same time learning about Bittensor and feeling, we need to build these AI agents on TAO? Like, what was that aha moment around Sundae Bar, and maybe the inception of the idea, and why Bittensor was such a good fit?
Yeah, so definitely it was like early 2025. No, it would have been 2024. Oh my God, we're in 2026. When it was like, okay, AI's here. This is the biggest thing to happen to us, period. And then the agent part was starting to emerge as, what is this agent? Like late 2024. By 2025, we knew agents were here to stay. By 2030, it's going to be a $50 billion market. And then we also started seeing like real businesses where they had teams built to integrate agents into their workflows. They had big budgets ready to allocate. And for us, and I think it still exists, and this is why we're in a really good spot right now, there's still a big disconnect between what businesses want and they just don't want to prompt AI. They want to prompt it and have it do real work. If they change their workflows or constraints, they want that agent to move with them. They don't want to supervise it. So there's still a big gap in the marketplace, 100%, which needs to be filled, because businesses will pay to increase productivity, which will in turn increase their ROI. And that's where we're really fitting in here. We want to create a digital worker that a business can integrate into their team. It reduces costs from them. It just makes sense. So how we kind of started on the marketplace side, and I think some of you may have seen like a post or two from us that ended up being like death by 1,000 agents. Initially, we thought, we would have this marketplace. You'd come in, you would search, you'd find, do you want your sales agent? Do you want your HR agent? Do you want your analyst? But they all sat separately. And then it was through the community, and this is why Bittensor is so incredible, because you have so many checks and balances and very intelligent people, because you're building openly as much as you can and communicating openly, that saying like, this might not work perfectly. So we had like V1 of our plan, V2, Cons 2, I'm sure a lot of we sat down with him and really dove into it on what if instead we still have the same outcome. Sundae Bar will always be the place businesses will come to find an agent that makes sense for them to do all the things they need to do, like we just talked about. But let's build that generalist agent. We will train it through Bittensor with challenges. And then, we can configure and wrap that with tooling, data, governance, whatever that business has. So what's fantastic about this is with Bittensor, we have this model that's going to evolve, get better daily. As businesses are coming in, we'll be able to use real business insight to train the model. And we already have quite a few businesses ready to go to access the product. So we're trying to go right now as quickly as possible. And in early days, we will probably lean into these real life businesses that are ready to pay for this to start training the model. Because a lot of what we're seeing like across the board is, one thing a lot of people want, they want it to look at a contract or a sales sheet, understand it, extract that data, and then where does that data go? To summarize it, extract it, understand it, and then take it to the next step. So understanding information, really basic thing that our agent will be able to do. And for us with Bittensor, we understand that the speed and the innovation is like next to none. Like I think a lot of hopefully we become that, broad case company that everyone is like, whoa, why didn't I do that? Like, why would you not lean into this decentralized model where you get paid for the best, instead of like all of us working in tech startups, we would hire mass teams. Like even when I was doing my cash flow statement before Bittensor, like the bulk of our expenses were like on dev work. Like you can't scale without dev, and you never know. Like we've all hired people so great on paper. Oh my God, amazing interview. And all of a sudden you're 2 months in and you're like, what? Or a month in. So yeah, Bass rises the top. You get paid. Makes sense for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can go a little bit deeper there with regards to Bittensor being that incentive layer. And obviously part of your job as the subnet owners is to create the incentive mechanism to attract miners who are ultimately the ones that are crafting the code to optimize and enhance the agent that those businesses will ultimately use in their daily workflows. So can you speak to maybe how the incentive mechanism works and how you are creating the incentive mechanism to ultimately make it extremely attractive for miners? And I know part of that is based on the incentive layer of Bittensor itself, but maybe you can speak to what Sundae Bar does uniquely to ultimately attract, the best talent in the form of devs.
Yeah, and that's what we need. Like we really want the best to be working on this, because for us, speed and quality is everything. We are going to set it up as a revenue backed emissions model. So our goal in early days, looking at the contracts we have coming in, we want revenue to outpace the emissions, but we also want that to be a significant amount. So, for example, say we're looking at this generalist agent down the road. I can talk to what we're going to do in the first 3 months after, because it's just going to be us bootstrapping it in the beginning. I've saved some money to do that. But say our generalist agent is now doing 100,000 in sales a month. We want to allocate at least 70% of that to minor emissions, equivalent to minor emissions. And then we'll be like probably like a 10% platform fee, and then buying back 90% of that, because we don't understand the sell pressure from the miners. Miners have to get paid, they need to work, etc. In an ideal world, everyone's like, we want to hold because we see Sundae Bar going to the moon. But if that doesn't happen, for us, we see our token as one of our biggest, most important assets, and we want to protect that. And I think we're in a unique / good position that we have revenue on the front end that can come in to protect that. And we also want to have that revenue high enough that we can be paying out, emissions to attract the best devs, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the model, and I'm going to take Ridges as maybe a comparative model, just from the miner perspective, where those miners are competing and they're creating and building on the shoulders of each other to improve the agent every single day, and they're getting paid out. I think they're still running some kind of winner takes all competition. Is that going to be similar to how it works on Sundae Bar?
100%. Yeah. We, so yes, open competition, winner takes all. What we were looking at, we were thinking daily, but we want to make it so people are submitting their agents whenever they want. So we have tasked Ollie with maybe looking at that 24-hour period and then seeing who held that top spot for how many minutes in that period, and that's how we'll pay it out. So say, Gordon, your agent was top for 6 hours, you would get a percentage of that daily payout based on that. Once you get into Bittensor and everyone knows this, you're like, how are people going to work the system? And so we just felt like if we had it more of a rolling clock, then that's what we would do. But essentially, yes, top agent takes all emissions for that time period.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it'll be one challenge at a time. So obviously we will swap those in and out, and we might have special challenges from time to time to do different aspects of what we want, but essentially one challenge at a time, when it takes all. One point I just want to go back on was the we've said the word devs a few times, which one of the things that we want to do is the devs will also be no code people. Essentially, we are not restricting the number of people who can be miners on our system. So there'll just be a miner on a user on our system, and any user, and it can be an infinite number, can submit the agents. But essentially, these agents can be code-based. They've got desktop-based. The desktop, you can create letter agents via the desktop app, or you can do it purely through their ADE, which is purely online. And we're not filtering out any talent that has the ability to create an agent. You do not need to be a developer, but you just need to know that you just need to be able to work out the logic and the that sort of thing to create good flows, architecture, that sort of thing. So we are absolutely reducing the barrier to entry to be able to submit an agent. So in that way, we hopefully will get the very best talent, because nobody's going to be excluded. I just want to make that point, because we said devs, and it's not. We're not restricting devs. It will be literally anybody, and eventually, and we're launching on Letter, and eventually we want to be completely platform agnostic, where and maybe that sort of thing will be a bit more dev based, or maybe we'll take in some other platforms that are completely no code, but eventually we'll be fully platform agnostic, because we want anybody who's learned any skill to be able to submit something that we can use. We may have to go to like a hosted agent model or something like that, but eventually completely platform agnostic.
Awesome. On the side of things where, I guess it's a blessing and a curse, maybe the speed at which you can execute on improvements with the agent, because you've got the ability to source talent from anywhere, on the planet, if someone's willing to improve upon the model and the agent. What does that look like for the businesses that are operating and using the agent? Because I guess maybe this is a bit more of a technical question, but if the agent and the model is improving daily, or maybe it will be quicker than that, maybe it won't be, but if that agent or model is improving daily or every few days, how does that get updated for the businesses that are using the agent in their workflows? Is it like manual pushes of updates that have to happen, or will those updates happen in quasi real time as the models improve? What does that look like?
To be honest, I'm not sure we know that exactly right now. The short answer is it could be either. The very fact that we're creating this generalist agent, that if it improves, you can almost, we're essentially writing, waves and waves of tests on, to put this generalist agent through. So you can have quite a good degree of comfort that the latest agent will be better than the last and will perform a certain task than the last. Each agent, sorry, the generalist agent will be graded on different categories though. So it also can depend on what the end agent is doing as to whether or not, the latest version may improve in one area, might be worse in another area. It might actually be like the top agent is not the best for the use case. So there is a lot of flexibility there. There's no hard fast rule that a person who comes and uses an agent on our system has to use any particular agent at all. It's always going to be the best thing for their use case, which will probably be the top agent. But because we have this categorization, we may have other versions that do really well in certain verticals, or really well in certain categories and less in others. So it'll be fully flexible. But the idea being the top one will probably be the best for most cases. Yeah. But it really depends on the use case. So very generic answer. But
Gordon, was your question too, once the business has it actually integrated, how do they update it?
Yeah, partly yes, because I guess, on the back end, the miners are competing every block, technically, I guess, to improve the model. And then if the business is already integrated, the general
automatic updates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It will depend.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned different use cases, Oliver, and I think the power with what Sundae Bar is doing, I think, is partly with regards to those different use cases. So if I am a business and I can get my employees to effectively use the agent, whether it's maybe as a sales agent, or maybe I've got someone in the marketing department needing to do SEO optimization. The idea is that the agent will be able to be used for different use cases. And I think part of the strength is that the agent will be able to maintain or have all of the memory and context around the particular use case that I'm using it for. So if I'm the sales agent, I get to use the agent to effectively monitor and optimize my workflow around sales every single day, and it retains all that memory and context. And every day when I come into work, I'm kind of working hand in hand with the agent to effectively ensure that I'm getting the most out of my time. Could you touch on some of those use cases? I've given a couple of examples, but is there maybe a small certain amount of use cases initially that the agent is going to be optimized for, or will it kind of be able to adapt to, a sales specific function, an SEO specific function, an HR specific function, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So essentially, the premise of a generalist agent is for it to be highly personalizable. And the idea being that it could be for absolutely anything that you do in a business at any time. So the way we'll build it out is we will have different functions that a business person might want to do and build out that as a challenge. So whether it be like email writing, and then we will develop skills. So like within the agent for something like email writing, that is a generic skill that can be applied to multiple things. And then, there's a research element. So, we'll be opening up to web search, and we'll be developing skills on various web search, whether or not it's getting structured data from different sources or things like that. Now, depending on what industry it is, we might create certain sections and skills for specific industries, maybe like, legal or whatever. And you can basically train it inside the skill layer, into which is like a function, a tool function, to do various things. But all of these are going to be backed by real world business use cases, things that everybody does every single day. And then, the layer on top of that is connecting every third party tool that you might possibly use, whether it's Gmail or Docs or HubSpot or Slack or anything. So essentially, this generalist agent will become something that we can essentially talk to your own tools. So we're creating this agent around you being able to talk to your own tools. Now, the multiple combinations of tools that anybody can have is almost infinite. It's, this person may have like this, that you use these 3 things, and they might want an email to connect this and to pull some research and all that kind of stuff. So if you can think of that as all of these, like a web of different combinations, the generalist agent is trying to make a generic way to connect all those dots where you can personalize it to, well, I use this, I use that, and I use that, and I need these 3 skills to do that. And then I can, and the agent then at the business level we can fine tune a model quickly to give them some, knowledge base based on their company or their outcomes and things like that. A little bit of fine tuning of a model, a little bit of, like I said, that the memory layer will remember all their user input as well. So we can put in user information, docs, connect to your Notion, connect to your whatever data sources, and then it's highly personalized to what they're using. So the initial, to come back to your question, the initial use cases for this, a lot of it is knowledge retrieval. So support stuff is an easy one to do. Essentially, connect the agent to any number of data sources within your company to be able to find information very quickly. Essentially, that is something that saves time. Every business needs to can value from how many different systems you have, how many different places you have information. Can we do knowledge retrieval all in one place? Connect all the MCP servers, connect all the different services, and allow them to maintain memory on that user, on the company, on various things. Essentially, talk to their tools, do knowledge retrieval. That's a very easy, quick win. Most companies will do things like that. The other quick win is essentially, I'd call that web research. So, we'll build some skills, sorry, to effectively query different search engines to pull data back, structure it, that sort of thing. Do research, either input it in various platforms or whatever they need. So those are some pretty easy, quick wins, which web research, very much out of the box for most LLMs now. Connect a few tools to pull in data retrieval. Those are probably the main definite quick wins, I think. And part of that, in connecting all those things, we'll build up a skills library. There's lots of open source skills out there already that will just plug all these in, and then hopefully the community will build something really clever and connect all that.
Yeah. Jill, anything you would add to that?
No, I just think when he was talking, I was like, I just can't wait till this is live, because I would be using that all the time.
Every day.
If we do it well, I do think it'll be very, very good. It should, but it's about time saving, real, and like helping real people do real problems. And that's our focus. And if we can do that, then people will use it.
And it almost crosses over all verticals. Like initially too, we were thinking you need an HR agent, you need a sales, like, which there is, like Ollie was saying, fine tuning on each of those. But the base of what we all do in our everyday work is very similar. Like it is, knowledge retrieval, moving data from place to place. And then you kind of like configure and wrap it on top of that with what tools you are using.
We might launch like specific challenges for specific verticals.
We will,
There's no reason why we can't go, this challenge is completely focused on the HR space and tools they use and bits of research they do, and that will enable the miners to develop some skills in that area. And we're going to try and cover, what does everybody use? HR, sales, because we want real businesses, and how can we touch as many people as possible. So the challenges will be either just on email writing, or it could be broad, or it could be just on a vertical. We'll be quite reactive as well, because if we have, some work that comes in that needs a certain skill to be refined, then we can go in that direction.
And I think the big thing for me, like, as all these brilliant devs are building the back end, which I always push my team on, no matter what product we're building, for the client, for the user, when they hit Sundae Bar, like, I think one of the biggest things is, even like a lot of mid-level managers, senior managers, the one that are signing off on this. And the word AI agent is still very like off-putting to them, because they confuse. I just want them to come and have the simplest, easiest user journey to be able to deliver them a product that works for them. And like, even last year, we were stuck in this world where you had your product, but then you still had to do like coding in it, and you just had a big drop-off rate. So our goal on the front end is
ease of use.
Ease of use. You come and, it is very easy to find what you want, and we deliver that impeccably.
What does the front end product look like? Is it a browser extension? Is it some kind of chat interface? And maybe you don't know yet, but if it's going to be ideally connecting to multiple different sources, what does that look like?
So end goal, we would love it to be like a chat interface. So you would just come and say, I'm looking for an agent for marketing. And then we are able to pull out everything we need from you to see where we need to land. So like the team has that in the back end. Like, I would actually like it just almost how you enter chat or Claude, because these people are going to literally be like, I want an agent. That's how they might start.
I think we would widgetize these agents as well. So take it away, put it where you want. Take our UI, put it on your site, put it on your internal tool, spit it up. I mean, it's all open source, so quite frankly, you can host it yourself, have your own user management. We'll do the work to customize, configure, because obviously you need all your API keys and all your things like that. But
yeah.
And right now it's actually just human, because we're having inbound clients coming to us to do the work. So like, as we're not ready there, we're working with them one-to-one as a human, which is actually great, because it's helping us learn how we're going to have to like create our interfaces and experiences on the front end.
I think that the real power of an AI agent is ease of use, and it's you want to use a chat interface. You don't want to learn, like, if you're using a new tool, you want to use a chat interface, but that chat interface needs to then empower you to do different actions. So part of the process is learn how to do thing, and then here are little buttons to do the things that you want to do. So that's part of what we'll be building, and that'll be its own section
pretty.
itself. Is here's the interface, but here are all the follow-on questions, follow-on actions, so that people don't need to learn, read docs, do all this kind of stuff to get to the information or do the action that they want. The AI agent will be presenting you with the actions that you should take or might want to take when you make that choice, and presenting you with the information that you need, presenting you with the document you can download, or presenting you with an email you can send, or it's all that kind of stuff. So that's
just like your ultimate employee. Like, when you hire, like, think of it as your operation. You want them to be ahead of you. You're like, oh, Jill, I heard you had this podcast. I prepared some notes on Gordon. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you mentioned like Claude and some of the centralized competitors a minute ago, Jill. I guess part of the challenge for you is to create something that's ultimately either better or more efficient for the tasks that people want to use compared to those centralized competitors.
Yeah.
Is that part of the like why this is being built on Bittensor? Like, versus, if I'm playing devil's advocate, could Sundae Bar be built out as a centralized company or as a traditional SaaS company to create AI agents? Maybe the benefit of Bittensor is that you're sourcing that global talent that we referred to. But what else are you guys trying to prioritize to ensure that the end product is going to be better than someone just going straight to Claude Code or ChatGPT, for example?
Yeah. And Ollie, maybe you can jump in on this too, but like, top level is we're really focusing on that business agent part of it, which is quite unique in the space. And we do see like a big addressable market there. And then on the Bittensor side, like, I just don't know how you could look at a startup and look at your cash flow and your runway and how you have to build out and not lean into this model of decentralization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, it's really cost heavy. And we really believe this is the best way to build it out. And
you're taking advantage of the knowledge of thousands of other people who've been there before you. Like, yes, you could probably spin it up yourself, but then you're going to have to learn all the mistakes, work out everything. This should be off the shelf, customizable off the shelf, built by thousands of experts, iterations, who found all the pitfalls and all that kind of stuff and moved on. Can someone just pick this up open source and use it? Yeah, they can. And that's absolutely fine. But in terms
but then ours gets better the next day, right? Like, that's the thing with open source, is like the building, no one else is incentivizing their team like that, right? Like, that's why it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, I'm sold on the arguments. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to pull it out of you guys, so anyone maybe who's a little bit newer has a better understanding, I think, of
it's cost effective. I think it's fundamentally cost effective, you know.
Cost effective and better.
You know, a lot of the time you make the money on hosting, configuration, you know, there's, you know, different clients will want model fine tuning and things like that. There are extra layers to make something fly for a particular use case, but the base model will be able to do everything exceptionally well. So an individual will be able to pick it up and do everything they could possibly want to do. But for more enterprise clients, then, you know, a bit more model, fine-tuning of the models to add extra, you know, information about the business, or, you know, more sensitive information where, host it themselves, that sort of thing.
The one other thing with Bittensor that I didn't know or expect before getting in is how all the subnets work together and how you can lean into their expertise to build your own product. Like, we've like Shoots. We've been working with Shoots. We're looking at Affine. We're, you know, the way you can all Bitcast, Gordon, like you and I were working together. Like,
all our storage is via Hippias as well.
Storage via Hippias. Like, you just have this like network and community that like even expose your product even further faster because you can work with each other. So that part, for people that don't know, is like a really welcoming surprise that we have found.
All the models that we did in our demo were all hosted by Shoots.
Amazing. I think there's
support the network.
Yeah, there's network effects that happen there when the subnets get to lean into each other as well. And, you know, looking at some of the research, when you zoom out on AI in general, it seems like, you know, compute and even just energy costs are going to be one of the constraints that we run into in the next few years with regards to growth and expansion in the AI world in general. And then I think that comes back to your earlier point. Decentralized AI makes things, you know, 5-fold, 10-fold cheaper to execute on. And that becomes a very important constraint once energy becomes, you know, an issue at scale. So I think you guys are on the right path and leaning into the right.
And you're all solving for different pieces of the puzzle. Like, we're all trying to push this forward in our own lane, but we can all work together and push it forward quicker.
Yeah. Jill, you mentioned the public company side of things earlier as well. And I guess you guys are in a little bit of a unique situation because, yes, there's a couple of other subnets that operate with integrations with public companies, but how do you balance the incentives there as well? Because you have to, I guess, you know, appease the shareholders of the public company, and then you have to balance the tokenomics of Sundae Bar and the alphanomics for the stakers. So what does that balance look like? And do you find yourself having to approach things a little bit differently versus if you didn't have that public company as well?
Well, definitely running a public company, you have to approach things differently than a private company because you have to be extremely transparent. You're upheld to a standard way higher than you are if you're a private company. So yes, I do have, I think, things that are very different. I have a lot more stakeholders, but that also means that I have a lot bigger team. and layers of expertise, and we have to do things so transparently.
Mhm.
Everything we've done, even like if Ollie and I are working together and we work for different companies, we have to disclose that. So I think that's a real benefit. I think they operate separately, but they only work if all three work together. I kind of see like we have the PLC, we have Sundae Bar, our forward-facing marketplace, which is everything, and
Mhm.
then we have our subnet, and all of us are working to create a business that has a product that is next to none, and we generate revenue out the yin yang. Like that is all of our goals. And
Mhm.
then our subnet supports that by creating the product through the incentivization. Like I said earlier, we think of our alpha token as one of our biggest assets, so we
Mhm.
will protect that. And I think of our investors on the S-bar side and our alpha token investors as the same. I have a very I'm very like focused on making sure that we do everything right to protect both sides of that. And they are very separate. Like we have our plan on our token side, which I
Mhm.
talked about earlier. We will keep that token. We will keep protecting that price. We want our subnet to do very well so we get the best miners to create the best product. And that means, we do everything right on that side of the coin. And on our S-bar side, um, our investors are looking for a return on their investment, meaning they want Sundae Bar, just like our subnet does, to
Mhm.
create a product that drives revenue. And we're all like, happy days. You are now $100 million, $200 million company. And
Mhm.
therefore we have more to put back into our subnet, more miner emissions. Our price goes up on the S-bar side because people have confidence in us. They see what we're doing. So
Mhm.
they all have to work in conjunction.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't focus on either the subnet or the stock, it kind of all implodes. But you treat them very separately. Like there's never a world where you hurt one to benefit the other, because it
Mhm.
actually hurts all three. Because
Yeah.
if I ignored the subnet, then this whole dev work that we're doing is for naught. Like
Yeah.
if I all of a sudden extract a bunch of our alpha, therefore emissions are down, my product's down, my revenue's down.
Mhm.
That does not make sense at all for the business.
Yeah.
Um, so I do have a big comms job because there is a lot of communications to multiple different stakeholders,
Mhm.
but that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the emission side of things right now? Because the subnet is not technically live yet. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah,
but
no,
you're earning some emissions.
yeah.
What's happening with those emissions right now? Are you using some of those to reinvest? Are you building a treasury? What's happening with those right now? And then what might be different after launch?
So all of our owner emissions are sitting, like you say, like a treasury. We have
Mhm.
had some great partnerships. We've partnered with DSV, and
Mhm.
so as a partnership, there was some owner emissions for them. But all our owner emissions in my head are locked. So anyone
Mhm.
that works with us, if you want to touch our emissions, you're locked in for a minimum of 12 months. And
Yeah.
that's like a hard non-negotiable for me.
Mhm.
We are in a bit of a fortunate position. We did do a raise to help support like building out the dev team.
Mhm.
So I don't have to pull those owner emissions in order for ops.
Yeah.
So on the alpha side, on our owner missions, the plan is just to have them sit and stay and grow. We
Yeah.
see so much value in our alpha, like our alpha, the X on our alpha, if we do our job right, is more beneficial to us than fiat for sure.
Mhm.
So we do want to protect that. And then once we get the subnet live on the minor emissions, we will control those based on what I see coming in on the front end for revenue, so that I can always have revenue outpace the emissions. So we're going to start initially, we will bootstrap that. I have allocated a portion of money for the first few months that we can buy our alpha back, just on top of what we were giving out for emissions.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah, I think we're in a good spot because we can just sit and hold. And that is the plan on the alpha.
Yeah, I mean, it puts less sell pressure as well, and from a tokenomics perspective, that's beneficial.
Yeah.
What does the roadmap look like then for the next few months? We've obviously just kicked off the new year. Can you give us some insights on what is coming here, maybe in Q1, and then as we move into Q2?
Yeah.
There's maybe some things you can share, some things you cannot share, but yeah, if you could paint the picture for alpha holders or people who are anticipating what's on the roadmap for Sundae Bar.
Yeah.
What are we
Ollie,
looking
do
at?
you want to take this one? On the
Yeah.
website?
So next up, I'll start with where we are at the moment. Just before Christmas, we launched demo, which essentially had validators up and running, agents being submitted, validated, and being displayed on our leaderboard. So that was our first demo challenge, one of our word challenge number 1. We're going to follow that up with a challenge number 2, which will be much broader. And so we'll have a few hundred test cases instead of the 30 that we went live with. Much of that is designed to do some work on the grading, the tolerance of the grading, and the sorts of numbers that we want to get to, so that we can have good scores that can be amended on a challenge by challenge basis. So there's a lot of work to do with that. As part of that, we're opening up the agent submission from actual miners. There will be no emissions just yet, but we also are aware that there might be a learning curve to how this all works. There might be a bunch of developers or users who don't know much about Letter, because obviously we are fully embedded with Letter in the first instance, because they've got a really nice framework to create agents, a really nice framework to evaluate agents. So that's what we're launching with. So we see value in allowing people to try out the submission process, see how they appear on the leaderboard. But like I said, there won't be any missions just yet. As part of that work, we're then finishing off the emission process and the further leaderboards that we're developing. So they're going to be launched maybe just after that. And then, not set in stone, but we'll either do maybe one more round of a demo challenge, which will be more real world, or that third challenge will just be a real world challenge, and that would be our launch. And that challenge will contain real world examples for real world problems for businesses. It'll have our full categorization in place. So all the different categories of metrics that we're interested in will have individual scores in the breakdown. And that will be the launch point.
And that's
that
not
will come
too far off. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's well within this quarter. Launching like real world, actual emissions, validators live, the validator code's all there. Yeah. So and part of what we're working on is just finalizing different sorts of models we're supporting. So you need to do a little bit of work on that. Letter has a whole bunch of models they support out of the box, which is great. But we also want to make it, like we said before, as easy as possible for people to submit. We want no barrier to entry. We don't want any talent left on the floor. So yeah, we're just making sure people can use Shoots, can use OpenRouter, can use Together, can create their own models if they wanted to. They'd have to deploy it somewhere. But just remove all barrier to entry. So that's part of what we're doing. Letter out of the box is very much OpenAI, Gemini based, that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that people can use the open source models as well, because that's obviously part of what we're doing. And Shoots is part of that. So yes, that's also what we're finalizing. We have our tests all working using Shoots already, but we want to make it a bit more easy to use for the validators.
Yeah. And Jill, what is the rollout plan in terms of getting this in the hands of businesses and enterprises? Is there a strategy that you're going to be, reaching out? Maybe you've got a test bed of businesses that are willing to run with this first, but
yeah,
obviously the goal is to get it in as many hands as possible. Is there a go-to-market strategy with ultimately getting Sundae Bar adopted across enterprises?
Yes, 100%. We are in a position right now where we already have quite a few clients lined up and waiting.
Yeah.
So, and one of them is quite large. So we have some pretty exciting work already lined up and coming in. The good thing about the one contract we have coming in, that it's a very big company, and so it takes them a while to get like all their team on board and on the onboarding. So we're probably kicking that one off mid-Feb, where we have to start developing the product for them. So on my side, what I'm doing is getting the team to get our generalist agent trained as quickly as possible so we can start, using it to fulfill this contract. I think it's always a mix of like speed, and I'm always pushing for speed, but then I also think you really do want to have like everything kind of laid out so your product's in the best possible position.
Sure.
When we get going, understanding that this is an open build community where they will build alongside you. So and then once we kind of look at the businesses we have, which is enough revenue to fill our boots for the next while, we will really start, how do we target those businesses? Both Ollie and I was an advisor. He built an agent on a company called Cycle AI. And so we have a lot of learnings from that. We did find that it's usually the middle managers of companies that are the ones that you target them. And we found actually HR and sales were the two biggest verticals that were wanting to integrate agents. You get them on first, and then they push it up to their seniors for sign off.
Yeah.
But I think in our case, what we'll have is a bunch of use cases with some household names that are using our product that can, it'll just start to snowball. Because I saw, Gordon, in your video you did about Sundae Bar, which was very good. I really like that. Like, it is predicted by Gartner that 40% of enterprises are going to be implementing agents in 2026, up from 5% last year. So people are scrambling and looking for solutions, and we need to be there to be that solution. Here's a trusted one. Here's other businesses using it. It's super easy. Product's great.
Yeah. I think that 40% is going to go to 60 or 80% in a couple of years.
It's just
as well.
tech. Like, really, it's just businesses implementing tech. It's like, do you want your business to be more efficient? Do you want to make more money? Yes, implement.
Exactly. And I would have to think that once this gets in the hands of people, just because of the nature of the incentive layer and the incentive mechanism and the ever improving and evolving nature of the competition on Bittensor, you guys are going to ultimately have a product that is going to be better than what people have used before. So
I truly believe that.
Rollout. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we all do. Like, it's an exciting time, and it's fun, and it's so cool to be kind of building this open space where you see all the subnets too competing for emissions. And I'm a very competitive person by nature. I think Ollie is as well. So you kind of have this pressure on yourself. But then you have this opportunity to even do more, get better devs, get better emissions, build better product, make more revenue. It's fun.
Yeah. Anything else that you would like to touch on or cover, Jill or Ollie, before we wrap up? I know we've gone in a few different directions, but is there anything we didn't get to communicate that you want to share before we wrap up today?
I think on the Bittensor side, our goal as they're building, I want to start connecting with as many miners as possible and start to debrief them on what we're doing. I want to, like I was saying to the team on our team call on Tuesday, like, essentially these are part of our team, so we have to treat them like that. And the more people know where we're going, what we want to do, where our timelines, the better for us. So that's a big one from us. And then honestly, I think over the next 4 weeks, you're going to see us pumping out a lot of updates on our build. Taylor on the team is doing the show and tells.
I saw some of her videos. They're very good. Yeah.
They are. She was a bit hesitant. I'm like, no, you're doing it. You are doing it.
Yeah, she's great.
So I think for us, we just have to keep informing people on what we're doing. And then, like, for 2026, like I come from a comms background, I keep thinking of headlines, and I write fake like Financial Times articles. And I really think we have the opportunity to, be that unicorn on the like Sundae Bar stock market side, and be that breakout subnet on the Bittensor side. And I just can't wait till we build a product, and then everyone's like, how did they do that so quick? And it's like, oh, did you hear about Bittensor?
Yeah.
Like that is what we need, because the better we all do, the better the whole ecosystem does, and it's a win for all.
Awesome. Ollie, any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just we're very excited to get all this stuff out, to be honest. Like I think we are having a lot of fun doing it, and it's a wonderful challenge. So yeah, just looking forward to getting it live.
He builds quick too.
Awesome.
I like building things.
He does. He's the one that's like all night long.
I'm an engineer. I just like building stuff.
You do. Amazing. You're good at it.
Well, I appreciate both of you taking the time to come on today. Obviously, lots of exciting things in the pipeline, and I will be keeping a pulse on all of it over the next few weeks. Maybe we can get you back in a few months for an update once things are live, once there's more adoption, once things are heating up in terms of competition between miners. I'd love to get an update in a few months once everything is rolled out. So Jill and Ollie, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for
Thank you very much for having us.
And yeah, if there's anyone who wants to reach out, they can check out Sundae Bar at sundaybar.ai. You guys are very communicative on X, so people can follow you over there for the updates. And yeah, I think there's going to be some exciting things in the next